Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Hellenic Polytheism 101, where I will be discussing the pillar of Hellenic polytheism, Arete. For first-time listeners, I want to mention that technically the pillars were never actually a thing. Unlike the Ten Commandments, the pillars were never taught as a set of rules that everyone knew by the name Pillars of Hellenic Polytheism or any variation thereof. What modern-day practitioners of Hellenic polytheism call the pillars were essentially religious and cultural practices that were taught by family and friends via everyday life. The pillars were an essential part of the culture of ancient Greece, taught to them the same way customs like tipping, saying "bless you" at sneezing, and the now common practice of wearing a mask everywhere are taught to us today. In recreating Hellenic polytheism for the modern age, the pillars grew out of a need for a set of guidelines to help us recreate a very old religion. Now, on to Arete. Arete is excellence. It's living up to your fullest potential. It's being the best you. Arete means doing your best to become your best and to live your best life. Arete's end goal is a life fulfilled and happy. Arete in Homer's work is usually associated with the person who uses everything at their disposal to do the best work, the person who is most effective at achieving what they set out to achieve. Homer applies Arete to Penelope as she fulfills her role as wife. Odysseus has Arete when he uses his intelligence. In the Iliad, Achilles has Arete by being the best warrior. In the tenets of Solon, Arete is achieved by being honorable, honest, intelligent, and humble. In fact, he advised the following: consider your honor, as a gentleman, of more weight than an oath. Never speak falsely, pay attention to matters of importance, be not hasty in making friends, and do not cast off those whom you have made. Rule after you have first learned to submit to rule. Advise not what is most agreeable, but what is best. Make reason your guide. Do not associate with the wicked. Honor the gods, and respect your parents. Arete is simply being the best version of you. One of the hardest things about Hellenic polytheism is taking those ancient concepts and applying them to the world that we have now, one that doesn't call for heroes like Achilles, and one where we can't always take the time to better ourselves because work and life can get in the way. It is important to understand that Arete doesn't always mean being number one and winning whatever contest is at hand. One thing that should be understood is that a person can be their best, give it everything they've got, and still lose. There will be people who are objectively better at doing what you do than you are. Someone will get a higher grade. Someone else will get the role or solo or part you're trying out for sometimes. Someone else can have a better idea than you. Someone else will write better or draw better or be better than you in whatever you were trying to achieve. The first step of applying the concept of Arete to our everyday lives is to accept that your best and the best of someone else are very different things. You are you, and you can only do your own best. Now, that does mean that you have to apply yourself. Doing the barest minimum to get by is not a way to achieve Arete. Arete means taking control of and responsibility for your own life. It means challenging yourself every day to become better than you are. Take a moment and think about things you've always wanted to do. A language you wanted to learn, a hobby you wanted to pick up, a project that you've put to the side, something you've always wanted to learn about. Arete means taking the time to do that. If you have a goal, Arete means doing the work to reach it. Then it means creating another goal. Plato said that arete is the ideal form of a thing, something that you are always trying to achieve. You achieve arete by always trying to reach for it, always trying to be better. This means that you won't always be at the top of your game. You will stumble, you will fail, and you will make mistakes. Arete doesn't mean that you will never be wrong, and that you'll never fail, and that you will always be perfect. It is not expected of us to be perfect all the time. What is expected is that we will try. When we fail, we learn from that failure and try again. Now, if you're anything like me, you've probably got a busy life. Between work and taking care of a household, I rarely get to do anything for me. It is hard to take that time that I want to use to watch Netflix or pop on a movie or even scroll online doing nothing of any real substance and put it towards something that is actual work. But I try. I read every day. I do research for this podcast and my own growth. I do the laundry. I help clean the house. I spend time with my kids as a parent, teaching them and guiding them and playing with them. I write. I exercise. I plan. And I cook meals. And I try to make things that are good for us, things that aren't always the easiest option. I pray. I always strive to be better at work. I've even given my bosses ideas that we've implemented nationwide that have made our division look good. I reach for arete every day by understanding that it is something that I always must strive for. By always striving for it, I hope to achieve it. Now, one of the things that made this episode a little more difficult to write than the previous ones is that arete is subjective. Xenia is a set of rules. Charis is a reciprocal circle. But arete isn't something that can simply be memorized and put into practice as we come across situations that could use it, like Xenia is. Arete is not something already built into our everyday worship the way Charis is. Arete is something that has to be strived for every day. It is something that is work, it takes focus, it takes energy, it takes commitment. Only you can know if you are doing your best, and so no one else can come up to you and say, you haven't achieved arete. You've broken the rules and you need to do better next time. It is up to you and you alone to strive for arete. No one can coach you on it. No one can teach it to you. So, this episode is going to be a little bit shorter than the others because I can't teach you arete. I can only explain what it is, explain how it has been seen historically, and let you do the work from there. Now, it's time for you to do the work. Good luck. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Hellenic Polytheism 101, where we discussed arete, one of the pillars of Hellenic Polytheism. Today, I relied on the Odyssey, the Iliad, the Center for Hellenic Studies, Plato's Allegory of the Cave, Barring the Aegis, and Wikipedia's page on arete, and The Greek Way by Edith Hamilton. A transcript of this episode and all others can be found on my Tumblr, goddessdoeswitchery.tumblr.com, under the tag transcripts. There you will also find links to the sources used today to do more research on your own. You can always ask me any questions there as well. Tune in on September 20th for the next episode, which will be about the next pillar of Hellenic Polytheism, Sophia.